Now, from Ardmore, Tennessee, comes a question about Christ's ascension mentioned in John 20, verse 17. He says, when Christ mentioned that he had not yet ascended, was he speaking of his ascension 40 days later or before his appearance to the disciples? He also asks, when Christ was raised from the dead, was he in his glorified body?
And of course he was. The verse that you give is this one. Jesus saith unto her, touch me not, for I am not yet ascended to my Father, but go to my brethren and say unto them, I ascend unto my Father and your Father, and to my God and your God. He's referring to the fact that after he was crucified, I think he presented his blood at the mercy seat in heaven. We're told that there's one there, you know. The tabernacle built down here, writer to the Hebrews says, is a model of the one in heaven. There's a mercy seat. And what makes it a mercy seat? The works of man? No. The blood of Jesus Christ, God's Son, cleanses us from all sin. And I believe it was presented there. I've been criticized severely. I have a book out on the tabernacle, and I take the position that Christ presented his own blood, and this is when he did. When he rose from the dead, he went and presented it in heaven. And it's on that basis that you and I are forgiven. I've been criticized for that. In fact, quite a few magazines years ago that wrote up the book, they gave me a good write-up. They said that this is an excellent book on the tabernacle, but there's one thing that the writer says that's rather crude. He thinks Christ presented his own blood in heaven. And I always think when I would read that review, I would think of what Dr. G. Campbell Morgan said to a woman one time that came to him when he was in Philadelphia and said, oh, I just hope, Dr. Morgan, you are not going to talk too much about the blood, because the blood is rather crude to hear about it. And he says, madam, I won't preach too much about the blood. You can't preach too much about the blood. And he says, I don't see anything crude about it but your sin and my sin. That's the thing that's crude about it, friends. And so I believe that that's what he did.